I'm Alex, and for as long as I can remember, my life has been a shadow of my younger sister Emma's. She's the golden child, perfect grades, perfect smile, perfect everything. If she sneezes, my parents practically throw a parade. But me, I'm just there. Forgotten birthdays, ignored requests, and constant comparisons to her brilliance have defined my existence. It wasn't just neglect, it was deliberate indifference. Every milestone I reached felt like shouting into a void, hoping someone would hear me, but no one ever did. This year, though, something inside me dared to hope. I turned 21, a milestone birthday. Surely, they'd acknowledge me this time, right? I even lowered my expectations, imagining a simple dinner or maybe a text saying happy birthday. Instead, silence. Not a word. The hours ticked by, each one heavier than the last, until the crushing realization hit. They weren't going to remember. Again. That sinking feeling in my chest grew unbearable, like being pushed off a cliff with no one to catch me. But here's the thing about being treated as invisible for so long: you start building walls. You tell yourself you don't care anymore because caring only leaves you broken. Yet, deep down, I still wanted their approval. I craved it, even if I hated myself for it. This constant tug-of-war between hope and despair shaped who I am today. Someone desperate to break free but unsure how. Little did I know, that breaking point was closer than I thought, and when it came, it would change everything. The morning of my 21st birthday, I woke up with a sliver of hope, just a tiny, fragile thread that maybe this year would be different. I sent a casual text to the family group chat. Hey, what time are we meeting for dinner? Simple, right? But as the hours ticked by, silence greeted me. No response. Not even an emoji. By 3 p.m., that fragile thread began unraveling into a sinking pit in my stomach. Finally, I caved and called my mom. She answered on the second ring, her tone casual, almost bored. Hey, Alex, what's up? I hesitated, gripping the phone tighter. We're still doing dinner tonight, right? There was a pause, a long, suffocating one, and then she laughed. Not a warm laugh, but a dismissive chuckle, like I'd just said something absurd. Oh, honey, she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. I should have told you earlier. We're going out with Emma tonight. My heart plummeted. You're... What? Her voice turned sharp, almost annoyed now. Emma has some exciting news, so we're celebrating her. In the background, I heard Emma's unmistakable giggle. Is that Alex? Tell him we'll save him some leftovers. More laughter erupted, sharp and mocking, slicing through me like knives. My face burned, humiliation washing over me in waves. This wasn't just neglect, it was deliberate cruelty disguised as humor. I wanted to scream, to yell, to demand why they always chose her over me. But instead, I swallowed the lump in my throat, forcing my voice to stay steady. Yeah, sure. Have fun. And then I hung up before they could hear the crack in my voice. For a moment, I just sat there, staring at my phone, my hands trembling, not from sadness, but from anger. Pure, unfiltered rage. They didn't even try to hide it anymore. Emma's exciting news was more important than my milestone birthday. But as the initial shock wore off, something else took its place: determination. I wasn't going to let them treat me like this anymore. I refused to sit in the shadows while they paraded Emma around like their golden trophy. That's when an idea sparked in my mind, one that would change everything. After hanging up on my mom, something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to sit in silence anymore, letting them treat me like an afterthought. No. This time, I'd show them exactly how it felt to be replaced. I called Lily immediately, keeping my voice steady despite the storm brewing inside me. Hey, want to go out for dinner tonight? She could hear the tension in my voice. What's wrong? I told her everything: their indifference, Emma's mockery, and the sinking realization that they didn't care about me at all. Without hesitation, she said, come over. My parents will want to celebrate with you too. Lily's family has always been different: warm, loving, and genuinely kind. They've treated me better in 3 years than my own parents ever did into decades. When I arrived at their house, her mom greeted me with a hug. Happy birthday, sweetheart. Come in, we're going somewhere nice. That nice turned out to be the same high-end steakhouse my parents loved bragging about online. The irony wasn't lost on me. As we sat there, sipping champagne and laughing, I realized this was what it felt like to be valued. For once, I wasn't invisible. After dinner, I took a photo of the restaurant entrance, a subtle jab at my parents' obsession with appearances, and posted it on Instagram. The caption: huge thank you to my girlfriend and her amazing family for making my birthday special. So grateful to have people who actually care about me. It wasn't just gratitude, it was a statement. a declaration that I had found the love and support they never gave me. Within minutes, notifications flooded my phone. Comments poured in from friends, acquaintances, and even distant relatives. Then came the text first from my mom. "What is this post, Alex?" Her tone was sharp, accusatory. My dad followed with, "Are you serious right now?" And then the calls started, one after another. I let them ring, smirking as I imagined their faces turning red with rage. By the fourth call, I finally answered, keeping my voice casual. "Oh hey, Mom. What's up?" she exploded. "What the hell are you doing, Alex? People are seeing this. You're making us look bad." I bit back a laugh. "I'm just thanking the people who actually showed up for my birthday." She gasped like I'd slapped her. "How dare you embarrass us like this? You know we would have celebrated with you if we didn't have prior commitments." I snorted. "Oh right, Emma's exciting news." Her voice turned icy. "We raised you, Alex. And this is how you repay us. By making us look like bad parents." I leaned back in my chair, crossing my arms. "If you didn't want to look like bad parents, maybe you shouldn't have acted like them." Silence. Then my dad got on the line. "You need to take that post down. Now." I grinned. "No." His voice dropped dangerously. "If you don't take it down, there will be consequences." I laughed outright. "Like what?" "Ground me. Take away my phone." "Oh wait, you can't. Because I don't live under your roof anymore. You have zero control over me." That hit a nerve. His voice cracked. "You ungrateful little—" I cut him off. "Save it. Your threats don't work on me anymore." The sound of tires screeching into the driveway shattered the calm evening. I'd been expecting this moment ever since I posted that picture, but nothing could have prepared me for the storm about to hit. My parents didn't just show up, they stormed in like they owned the place. My mom marched ahead, her heels clicking sharply against the floor, while my dad trailed behind, his jaw clenched so tight it looked like he might break a tooth. "We need to talk. Now," my mom snapped, her voice cutting through the air like a knife. She scanned the room, taking in Lily's parents sitting comfortably on the couch, the cozy atmosphere, and me standing there unbothered. Her eyes narrowed as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Proof that I was thriving without them. "Not here," she said stiffly, trying to regain control. "Come outside." "No thanks," I replied, leaning casually against the armrest of the couch. "If you have something to say, you can say it right here." My dad stepped forward, his fists clenched at his sides. "Enough with the attitude, Alex." I raised an eyebrow, smirking. "Attitude? Oh, you mean standing up for myself. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this whole having self-respect thing." My mom let out a sharp breath, her patience visibly fraying. "We are not going to let you publicly shame us like this. Do you have any idea how many people have seen your post? Your aunts, your uncles? Do you know how humiliating it is to have our own son paint us as villains?" I blinked at her, then deadpanned. "Maybe don't be villains, then." Lily snorted beside me, earning a glare from my mom. My dad scoffed, shaking his head. "This isn't a joke, Alex. You're throwing away everything we've given you." "What exactly am I throwing away?" I shot back, crossing my arms. "Your neglect, your manipulation, or maybe the fact that Emma will always come first no matter what." My mom froze, clearly thrown off by my directness. Then she played her trump card, her voice softening dangerously. "Alex, if you don't listen to us now, don't expect us to help you in the future. You'll regret this." I laughed a short, bitter laugh. "Help me? Like you've helped me all these years. Spare me the guilt trip. You've made it clear where I stand in this family, or rather, where I don't." My dad took another step closer, his voice low and threatening. "You think this is funny? You think you're going to get away with treating us like this?" I locked eyes with him, unfazed. "Get away with it, Dad? I've been trying to get away from you for years." The room fell silent except for the faint hum of tension hanging in the air. My mom glanced at Lily, sitting comfortably beside me, holding my hand like she belonged in my life, and that's when I saw it. The flicker of panic in her eyes. She realized I had found something real, something she could never give me, unconditional support. "This is what this is about," she spat, her voice dripping with condescension. "You're trying to replace us with them." "If the shoe fits," I shrugged, meeting her gaze without flinching. My dad exploded. "Enough of this nonsense. You're taking that post down now." I grinned, knowing full well how much it infuriated him. "No." His face turned an ugly shade of red. "Alex, don't test me." "Or what?" I challenged, leaning forward. "You'll ground me. Take away my phone." "Oh wait, you can't. Because I don't live under your roof anymore. You have zero control over me." That hit a nerve. My dad's hands balled into fists, and for a second, I thought he might actually lose it. But my mom, eerily quiet until now, delivered her final blow. Fine. If that's how you want to play it, you'll get nothing. No inheritance. Nothing. I laughed again, louder this time. Inheritance? You really think I care about your money? You've already given me everything I need to know about you, and it's nothing I'm willing to keep around. The room felt smaller as my parents' voices grew louder, their words lashing out like whips. They were desperate, scrambling to regain control, but something inside me had shifted. For the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of them anymore. Their threats about cutting me off financially, their accusations of ingratitude, it all bounced off me like rain on glass. You're throwing away everything we've given you. My dad bellowed, his face red with rage, his fists clenched at his sides, and for a moment, I thought he might actually explode. But instead of shrinking back like I used to, I stood taller, meeting his glare head-on. Everything you've given me, I echoed, my voice calm but sharp enough to cut through the tension. You mean the years of neglect? The constant comparisons to Emma? Or maybe the lesson that I'll never be good enough for you no matter what I do? My mom stepped forward, her voice trembling not from sadness, but from fury. How dare you talk to us like this? After everything we've done for you? I tilted my head, studying her like she was a stranger. What exactly have you done for me, Mom? Ignored my birthdays. Laughed at me when I asked for support. Made it clear that Emma will always come first. I shook my head slowly, a bitter smile tugging at my lips. If that's your idea of love, then I don't need it. Her eyes widened, disbelief etched across her face. You think you can just walk away from this family? From us? I'm not walking away, I said, my tone steady. You pushed me away years ago. You just didn't notice because you were too busy worshipping Emma. That hit a nerve. My mom's hand flew to her chest like I'd physically struck her. We're your parents, Alex. We deserve respect. Respect. I shot back, leaning forward slightly. Respect isn't something you demand, it's something you earn. And honestly, after everything, I don't even know why I bothered trying to make you proud. You've made it abundantly clear where I stand in this family. My dad cut in, his voice low and dangerous. So what? You're just going to throw away your inheritance? Your future? I laughed, a cold, mirthless laugh that echoed through the room. Inheritance? You really think I care about your money? You've already given me everything I need, a masterclass in how to survive without you. The silence that followed was deafening. My mom stared at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. My dad looked like he'd been punched in the gut. You're ungrateful, my mom spat finally, her voice shaking. After all we've sacrificed for you. Sacrificed? I interrupted, my voice rising now. What sacrifices? Letting me live under your roof while treating me like an inconvenience. Always choosing Emma over me. No, Mom. The only person who's made sacrifices here is me, sacrificing my self-worth, my happiness, my sanity, just to try and earn scraps of affection from people who didn't care. Lily's dad cleared his throat softly from the corner of the room, his presence grounding me. My mom turned to him, her voice dripping with venom. And what about you? Are you happy now, encouraging this kind of behavior? He didn't flinch. All I see is a young man standing up for himself, something he should have done a long time ago. The look on my mom's face was priceless, a mix of shock, anger, and something else I couldn't quite place. Defeat, maybe. She opened her mouth to argue, but no words came out. You can keep your guilt trips, your manipulation, your empty promises, I said, my voice firm. I don't need any of it. Not anymore. Just as I thought the storm had passed, my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't my parents, it was Emma. Her text was short but dripping with venom. You've really messed up this time, Alex. Mom and Dad are furious because of you. How could you do this to our family? I stared at the screen, my jaw tightening. Of course, she'd play the victim. That was her specialty, twisting everything to make herself look innocent while painting me as the villain. But this time, I saw through her act. She wasn't just an innocent bystander in all of this, she was a key player. For years, she'd manipulated our parents' blind devotion to get whatever she wanted, leaving me to pick up the scraps of their neglect. And now, here she was, accusing me of ruining the family. The irony was almost laughable. I clenched my fists, resisting the urge to fire back a scathing reply. But then I stopped myself. Why give her the satisfaction? Engaging with her drama would only drag me back into their toxic web, and I refused to let that happen. Instead, I set the phone down, ignoring the buzzing notifications that followed. Lily noticed the tension on my face. What's wrong? She asked softly. Emma, I muttered, shaking my head. She's blaming me for everything, like always. Lily frowned. Don't let her get to you. She's just trying to manipulate you again. I nodded, taking a deep breath. I know. And that's exactly why I'm not responding. I'm done letting them control me, even her. For so long, I'd resented Emma for being the golden child, the one who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes. But now, I realized something. She wasn't just a spoiled brat, she was complicit in their toxicity. She knew exactly what she was doing, how she used their favoritism to her advantage, and she didn't care who got hurt in the process. As the notifications piled up, I made a decision. I wouldn't engage. Not with her, not with them. This wasn't my circus, and these weren't my monkeys anymore. I turned to Lily, forcing a small smile. Let's go out. Celebrate. I don't want to waste another second thinking about them. The cool night air hit me as we stepped outside, and for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe freely. The weight that had been crushing my chest for so long was finally gone, lifted off by the realization that I no longer needed their approval. My phone buzzed incessantly in my pocket, each notification a desperate attempt from my parents to regain control. Voice notes, texts, threats, it didn't matter anymore. I glanced at the screen once, just to confirm what I already knew. They were panicking. But instead of feeling guilt or fear, I felt nothing. Lily slipped her hand into mine, squeezing it gently. You okay? She asked, her voice soft but steady. I nodded, a small smile tugging at my lips. Yeah, for the first time, I really am. As we walked toward the car, I turned to her, my voice filled with conviction. My life doesn't belong to them anymore. I found my real family, the people who love me unconditionally. People like you, like your parents. They've shown me what it means to truly care about someone. Her eyes softened, and she pulled me into a quick hug. I'm so proud of you, Alex. You stood up for yourself when it mattered most. We piled into the car, Lily's dad driving while her mom hummed along to the radio. The atmosphere was light, almost celebratory, a stark contrast to the tension we'd left behind. Someone suggested grabbing drinks, and everyone agreed enthusiastically. It wasn't just a celebration of my birthday anymore, it was a celebration of freedom, of breaking free from years of emotional chains. At the bar, laughter flowed as easily as the drinks. Lily raised her glass, grinning. To Alex for finding his voice and showing the world who he really is. Her parents joined in, clinking their glasses against mine. And to family, her dad added, his tone warm. The kind you choose, not the one you're stuck with. I looked around the table, taking in their smiling faces, and felt something I hadn't in years. Peace. These weren't just people, they were my people. They'd accepted me without conditions, supported me without judgment, and loved me without expecting anything in return. Later, as we drove home, I stared out the window at the city lights blurring past. My phone buzzed again, but I silenced it without looking. Whatever they had to say, it didn't matter. I had everything I needed right here. As I stepped out into the cool night air, the weight of everything that had happened finally settled in my mind. It wasn't just about standing up to my parents, it was about reclaiming myself. For so long, I'd let their neglect and favoritism define who I was, letting it chip away at my self-worth until I felt like nothing more than a shadow in my own life. But now, as I walked away from their toxicity, I realized something profound. Sometimes, to find true happiness, you have to let go of the things that are most fake. I thought back to all the years I'd spent hoping for their approval, trying to prove myself worthy of their love. And for what? To be ignored. To be compared to someone who would always shine brighter in their eyes. No. That version of me, the weak, desperate version, was gone. In its place stood someone stronger, someone who no longer needed validation from people who didn't truly see him. Looking ahead, I could finally envision a future where I wasn't tethered to their expectations or guilt trips. A future where I made decisions based on what I wanted, not what they demanded. Lily and her family had shown me what real support looked like, and for the first time, I understood that family isn't defined by blood, it's defined by love, loyalty, and mutual respect. Was I scared? Sure. Letting go of the only family I'd ever known wasn't easy, but staying meant sacrificing pieces of myself I couldn't afford to lose anymore. This was my turning point, the moment I stopped being a victim of their choices and started owning mine. And honestly, I didn't regret a single thing. Every argument, every confrontation that had led me here, to this moment of clarity. I wasn't just breaking free, I was rebuilding myself into someone I could be proud of. Someone who didn't need their money, their empty promises, or their conditional love. So, yeah, maybe tomorrow will bring new challenges. Maybe they'll try to manipulate me again, or Emma will send another guilt-laden text. But none of that matters now. I found something better, a family that chooses me, a life that belongs to me, and a sense of freedom I never knew existed.